Good morning, everyone. I woke up to some crazy news. As you can see on the screen, I'm sure as you've heard on Twitter, Microsoft is buying Cinemax Studios, which owns Bethesda Publishing, which owns Bethesda Studios, id, Arcane, and others. Um, I thought that it would be good to talk about this just for a minute. I literally just woke up like 5 minutes ago, so still trying to process my brain. I'm still trying to process all this, trying to figure out what this all means, where this is all going, and things like that. So right here, I have Engadget pulled up, article by Daniel Cooper, and right here it's just talking about how Microsoft is paying $7.5 billion in cash, which is expected to be completed in the second half of 2021. So around this time next year, um, that's a crazy number. 7.5 billion for any studio, any developer is crazy. Maybe like that's like Activision numbers, EA numbers. But for Bethesda, right here it says in 2016 the company was valued around 2.5 billion. And I wanted to talk a little bit about what this means. Is this a good move for Xbox? What does this mean for Sony fans? And then even more, what does this mean for Nintendo fans? And I'll get into that a little bit later. But down here, it does say that the pre-orders for the new Xbox do start tomorrow. So this obviously was kind of planned to be like, hey, get a new console. By the way, we own Bethesda now. And really, this isn't a surprising move because if you've been watching since the 360 era, and even before that, even in the Xbox original era when Morrowind came out to Xbox, Bethesda and Microsoft have always been close. They've always announced things on their platform or on their stage at like E3. Bethesda's come to Microsoft and would announce things before its own conference, and they've always had a tight relationship. Games have always run a little bit better on Xbox. They've always been more akin to the Xbox and PC, obviously. So with this purchase, this means that games you would think would be coming exclusively to PC and Xbox now. I wanted to go ahead and first look at Bethesda Game Studio published games, and then we're going to look at all the games Bethesda itself publishes. So if we look at Bethesda Game Studios, over here, in the last 10 years, they've released Skyrim, Fallout Shelter, Fallout 4, Skyrim, Skyrim, Fallout 4, Fallout 76, Elder Scrolls Blades, and that's it. Now, looking at just that, obviously Skyrim is the standout. Skyrim 2011 was the biggest game of 2011. It was the biggest game in 2012. It was a massive game. It was impressive. It was amazing. There's so much to do about it. By 2016, by the time Witcher 3 came out, it ate Skyrim's lunch. And then Fallout 4, people weren't really impressed with it. It was more same old, same old. But it was said that that one developer, I can't believe I just forgot their name, the one that Microsoft bought before, they outdid Bethesda in their own Fallout game. So Fallout 4, not that great. And then Fallout 76, disaster. It was on sale for like $20 a week after release. Not really good. The meme is, oh, Skyrim is going to be exclusive to Xbox now, so we'll see what that actually turns out to be. We do know that Starfield and Elder Scrolls 6 are coming sometime within the next 10 years. So I don't think those are too big of issues. I could never see those games releasing on Switch anyways. And as for PlayStation players, those are two open world games that we're not going to get, and that kind of sucks a lot. But if you have a PC, you can run them on there. Everything is releasing on PC, obviously. But I wanted to also go over and look at the list of Bethesda published games, because just because Bethesda Studios isn't as great as they once were and isn't the big thing that they used to be, Bethesda does publish quite a bit of games. And I wanted to look at the games of consequence that I think are important. Now, we know that Deathloop and Ghostwire Tokyo are two PlayStation 5 exclusives, and it's been confirmed already that those games are still releasing for PlayStation 5. I can't imagine that they won't come to Xbox now sometime. Maybe not day and date, maybe not a month later, but those games are definitely coming to Xbox one day, no doubt. So we have Doom Eternal, which Doom is big, Doom is good, it's great. Wolfenstein, the Cyberpilot and Youngblood games weren't the best. They were more spin-offs though, rather than full sequels. So I don't know if I really count those. Rage 2 was okay. It had some good mechanics in it, but the game wasn't really. The open world was too open worldy. It's too empty. There's always too much to do. Already talked about Fallout 76. Wolfenstein 2 was great. The Evil Within 2 was great. Dishonored, Death of the Outsiders, an expansion. Dishonored 2 was great. Prey was good. So when we're looking at this, what Microsoft really got was they got Arcane Studios, they got Tango Gameworks, they got Machine Games, and they got id. And then they got Bethesda Studios. Out of those, I would say that Machine Games does Wolfenstein, id does Doom, and then they got Avalanche Studios too. No, they didn't. Bethesda doesn't own Avalanche Studios, do they? I don't think they do. I don't. Maybe they do. They must. I don't know. Parent. No, I don't think they own Avalanche Studios. So, they don't own them. They just helped make the game. But they own all these studios now. And really what Microsoft bought for $7.5 billion, that's with a B, billion, is Doom, Wolfenstein, The Elder Scrolls, Fallout, Dishonored, I guess? I don't know. Those are big games, don't get me wrong. Those are massive games. Especially 10 years ago, those were the biggest games in video games. I feel like this deal is 5 to 10 years too late, though. There's no faith in Bethesda anymore. Bethesda releases broken games. They released mid-tier games. Doom is great, but Doom doesn't do Call of Duty numbers. Not even close. No one does Call of Duty numbers. Doom doesn't even do Battlefield numbers. It's a great, solid shooter, and it does really well for the fans of it, but it doesn't sell gangbusters. Wolfenstein is great. It's awesome. But again, it doesn't sell as much as all those other shooters. Looking at this from a business perspective, I can't see why. The only reason that they would do this is so that they can release all these games on Game Pass day one, so they can add more value to Game Pass. That must be like the play here, because other than that, they're never going to sell enough copies, especially if they do make it exclusive to Xbox and PC. I don't see these games making people reconsider buying like a Nintendo Switch or buying a PS5 and then going, oh, you know what, I will get a Series S or a Series X. I just don't see that happening, because Elder Scrolls 6, well, yeah, it sounds cool. I loved Skyrim 10 years ago. I don't know when that game's coming out. That game could be on the Xbox Series R or something. I don't know, whatever the next Xbox is. Like, it's the PS6. It's not... That game is so far out in development, they still need to release Starfield first. In Starfield, we have no idea when that game's coming out. And it's the same studio making it. And as for, like, Doom and Wolfenstein, those are great games, but, you know, if I want to play Doom, I can just get Doom and Doom Eternal. Because odds are that the next Doom game is going to be more of the same. I mean, which is fine, and that's good, because those games are good and they got solid mechanics, but why would I go out and buy a $500 machine that I don't own to play the same game again? You know? And they've tried to deviate from Doom with Doom 3, and it didn't work. Doom only works in the way that Doom works. And once you have that solid mechanic down, there's not much more you can do about it. I do think that these games will continue to be to migrate to Nintendo Switch, because Microsoft and Nintendo do have this type of buddy partnership. They're not direct competitors. So I do think these games that have been coming out to Switch, Wolfenstein, Skyrim did, you know, things like that. Youngblood did, Doom 64, Doom Eternal did. I think these games will still find their way eventually to the Nintendo Switch. As for PS5, though, I can't see any of these releasing onto PlayStation because, let's be honest, Microsoft has never done better than Sony, ever. And we can look at last generation when it was 360 and PS3 and be like, oh, Microsoft was dominating in the beginning. Well, they also released a year ahead of the PS3. That helped a lot. When you have a year to sell your console before the other competitor even comes out, of course they're going to be ahead at the beginning. But then you look at the charts, and Sony quickly took over, even at $5.99. People just inherently play PlayStation more than Xbox. And Microsoft knows this. They know that the 360 was an anomaly, not the new norm. And it was proven with the Xbox One and the Xbox S and the Xbox X. They tried and tried and tried, and now they're trying with the Series S and the Series X. And I think even at that $299 new gen console, it's still not going to be enough because people know that that's a lesser Xbox. It's not really next gen. That's akin to PS4 Pro. It's akin to Xbox One X. It's not next gen. So this is what they need to do is buy studios like this, but for $7.5 billion, at some point their parent company Microsoft is going to look at Xbox and they're going to be like, okay, you have this plan with Game Pass and you have this plan to make all this money, but eventually we're just seeing a whole bunch of red with mitigating returns. And they're going to look over at Nintendo, they're going to look over at Sony and be like, look what they're doing over there. They're not spending billions and billions and billions and billions of dollars. Let's look up really quick. Sony buys Insomniac. Insomniac is a great publisher, great developer. They make some of the best games. Spider-Man is great. Ratchet and Clank is great. Sunset Overdrive was great, which was an Xbox exclusive, mind you. They make such good games. They bought Insomniac for $229 million. That is barely a fraction of that is barely a percentage of what Microsoft spent on Bethesda game studios. And like I said, 10 years ago, I could absolutely see this. Like at the height of Skyrim, like they just released Skyrim, oh my gosh, and then Microsoft just bought them, the guys that made that. But now we see companies like the guys that make The Witcher do way better than Skyrim. Skyrim has been out Skyrim'd 100 times. And all these other games that Bethesda publishes and develops and owns, they're good, yes, but are they great? Some would argue yes, but others, no. They would say that they're not great. They're okay. They're good for what they do, but they're not AAA sellers. So this is an interesting buy. As a Sony fan, it is disappointing. As a Nintendo fan, it is mildly disappointing. As a PC fan, I don't really care because it's coming out on PC anyways. Hopefully it works out for Microsoft. They're making some big moves. They've purchased so many different developers and stuff. Microsoft basically did that shit. We can't make good games, so we'll buy other people to make good games for us. But we've seen how that's turned out before with studios like Rare. So just because they got this doesn't mean that it's all bright future. Obsidian, by the way, was the developer I was trying to think of before. So now they own Obsidian and Bethesda, which is interesting. Anyways, that's all for this video. I hope you guys enjoyed. Yeah, good luck to Bethesda with their new parent company, and I hope games are going to continue to be awesome. I'll see you guys in the next video. Goodbye.